But thanks for listening. Yeah.
Hey everybody, welcome to Research
Episode 244. Sunshine here with Cinderin. Hello.
Imagine this is the first episode you ever listened to, and that's the intro, and you just instantly tune out.
Yeah, it's not good for the Zoomers. You got to catch their attention right away. That's why trailers show action in the first 3 seconds, because we as a society have devolved into fucking apes, apparently, that can't sit through a few seconds of just building the story like it would normally be built. You have to get to the action, and then that catches your attention, and then you're like, okay, it's worth my investment. It's stupid. How are you doing, Cinderin?
If we've devolved into fucking apes, that explains the rise of monkeypox, right?
That's true. That's fair. And also explains why Planet of the Apes is somehow a successful movie series. My God, what a pile of shit.
Right. Damn, you're on.
I was
going to say you're on fire today. I don't know what you're on, actually.
I'm on a massive losing streak. I apologize in advance, but I am cranky, Cinder.
Understandable. Understandable. Dota
Thank
brings
you.
out the worst in everyone.
Yes. I was saying earlier that if there was an Olympic award or Olympic competition for somebody that just happens to pure RNG blink into stuns that are not intended in any way to be for that person, I would get gold easily. It happens so often.
You're the best at something. That's awesome.
I'd pull my hair out if I had any more to pull. Okay, so thank you to our In Bruges tier. Phoenix Sun, Capri Sun, Mohican Sun. It doesn't matter. The sun about to set. Lakers in 5. What the fuck? Amish Toaster. The rumors for Arteezy to Secret are stronger than the rumors for LeBron to LA ever were. No Matter Than a Hatter. Crownfall Enjoyer. Captain Broccoli. STGC Daniel. Pyrian won Belch off and took the kids. Mr. I Love the NBA segment, the episode where Chuck learns how to retire from Dota pros. Pepperballs, T-Coil, and Yotoro does it again, Cinderin.
And Vlad, let's have Puppy on the podcast. Disco Farm D, The Mega Poop, Shark TM, Janie, Dop, Wooden Aftertaste, Anonymous, and how do you even say this? The Turritopsis dorni, immortal jellyfish, can restart its life cycle from its juvenile form, living forever unless it's eaten.
Did you know that? That's
No.
one of the rare ones I did know.
Oh, damn.
It is an technically immortal creature, which is crazy.
So what does it do?
I don't know what it does, but it turns back into a baby when it wants to. It's like a phoenix, almost, if that were a real thing. Yeah. Maybe the phoenix is inspired by this jellyfish.
You would think with that ability that they would take over the world. But then you remember it's jellyfish, so they can't do anything.
Jellyfish, if I'm not mistaken, are one of the more intelligent creatures on Earth.
That's why they stay away from everyone.
Yeah, they're smart.
Pretty clever.
They're
actually,
smart.
Yeah.
They stay where all the plastic is in the ocean. Okay, so in terms of Dota, we haven't had a podcast in 2 weeks, an episode in 2 weeks. There's still not much to talk about, which in essence is a topic of discussion. Thanks to my chat for making me put that on the outline. But first, we'll talk about what happened last week, Cinderman, which is 7.37 Bizzle. What is good about this patch? It is a B patch, of course. By the way, I went through this little drop down here, which you guys can't see apparently. That's really weird that you can't see this drop down. They are very inconsistent whether there's an A patch or not. Sometimes it goes straight to B. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, yeah.
It seems very arbitrary.
I never thought about that, actually.
So this is an A patch.
No, it's
listed as B.
Oh, you mean like that? Yeah. So we had a 36A, and then the last patch that had an A patch was 28.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
I really wonder if there's any logic or if they genuinely just forget.
Come on. We know the answer.
Okay, I actually don't wonder. Okay. Yeah, I mean, as far as B patches go, I actually think this one was pretty small for the most part. It's like, I don't even know what to highlight in this because it's a lot of like little tweaks here and there. Also, it's kind of it's a little bit old at this point, right? Because the patch has been out for almost. Has it been 2 weeks? Pretty much,
roughly.
2 weeks, I think. I think the items section for this one is effectively okay. We're going to nerf Gleipnir a little bit because everybody buys it, so it loses some radius, and then there's 4 changes to Kaya, so it doesn't stack with itself in different forms for mana regen amp and spell lifesteal amp. The rest is just tweaks to hero abilities and facets, right? And it's very little numbers changes, so there's not like radical hero reworks. I guess one that stands out is the Clockwork one, which is they keep trying to make hookup a thing because people don't like it. Now
You
it
don't like
refunds.
it?
Now it refunds mana and gives people armor if you hook allies, but the thing is, you're Clockwork and you're still largely in the game initiating for your team, not saving allies. But who knows? Maybe this is. I mean, it's getting better and better, right? It's getting power creep the crap out of, so eventually it's going to be good, right?
Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking through the patch again here, and I feel like compared to other episodes that we've had B patches or whatever, I don't know if you feel the same way. I feel like there's just very little substance, and that doesn't mean it's a bad patch, because all of these things probably, or at least many of them, needed a little tweak or could benefit, but it's not like worth writing home about. It's just like you lose 1% here, you gain 1% there, slight little changes.
Do you think the Tinker nerf was enough? That's been a hero.
A little bit far down the list. Yeah, so he loses healing on March of the Machines. This is one of the bigger numbers changes, and the mana cost goes up, and the mana cost and defense matrix goes up. So he got triple nerfed. I think this is the single hero of the patch that got changed the most. Do I think it's enough? I think he's still S tier, personally, which goes to show how crazy this was, but it's the cycle that a lot of heroes go through, right? Where they buff it multiple times before people finally pick up on the idea. And then when you realize it and play the idea has now got out of control. And now they're tuning it back. I think this will still see plenty of play in its current form at TI. Especially there's types of strategies that really benefit from playing with repair bots, where you're like playing mid-game timings, you're buying auras. It's just like a, stereotypical Gaming Gladiators hero that they could play, for example, in their timing strats. And he also has the added exceptional benefit that he, as a support, can split push the map. There's no other support hero that does that, which is crazy on a high level, because when the margins get so narrow as they do at that level, having that extra ability in your arsenal becomes invaluable, because you can just get information for free all game as a support. That's crazy good. So yeah, he's nerfed, but he's still great, is my verdict on that. Scrolling through to see if there's anything more that really stands out. I mean, it's just, again, it's these little things. I guess one that got changed quite a bit was Huskar, where we talked about that his win rate was abysmal. Burning Spears no longer has reduced duration when you take the Incendiary one, where you damage yourself but do pure. Percentage based. But then the max health burn has been decreased as well. So I don't know. I feel like this is such a non-answer to the state of the patch.
I'm surprised you're not creaming your pants over this patch. This is your patch. Boring as fuck.
Because it's so many nerfs.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I was saying, right? It's like, I think this is a good patch, but it's not one that's particularly exciting, right? And that's, a lot of the time, that is a sign for me that Dota is in a pretty good place, is when you have a patch like this and it feels like it solves a couple of the issues that are there, largely, right? That you don't need to do crazy stuff. Like, a lot of heroes, I say that, there's still quite a few heroes that I feel like are very unplayed right now in Pro, that they could get there eventually, but yeah.
Okay, that's the patch.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what, if you disagree with that, or if you have anything extra, because it's really, really little things everywhere.
Yeah.
Which, it's also TI season, so they might not want to go too overboard. They just want to, 737, this is the TI patch, and now we're going to quickly adjust some of the most radical outliers we have. Do you think there's going to be another patch before TI? I don't.
100%.
You think there is going to be a C?
Yeah, for sure.
So when does TI start? In less than 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I think it'll be
Or
today.
no, in 2 weeks.
I think it'll come out after our podcast. Of course, it's after our podcast.
Nice. Oh, that would be classic Valve to drop a patch after this.
Yeah, Thursday is their favorite day. They get to listen to us complain, and then they fix everything we complain about. So using that as a segue, Cinderman, let's talk about TI and how nothing has been talked about regarding this tournament. What is the prize pool for TI? What is there something going to be tied to it? Is Act 4 maybe have some is that going to be combined? Is that part of like a mini battle pass of sorts? Is Ringmaster a part of it? So many questions and so little answers.
I think the answers to all of this are in the Deadlock source code, and you just need to find it. You need to dig deep enough to get the answers from there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's not unlike Valve to be late with announcing stuff. Obviously, I mean, this time around, I don't know if it's like, perhaps it is the Deadlock connection that is delaying things, because like I'm trying to think, they generally are quite late with announcing things, but I feel like it's never been this late with announcing the prize pool, with announcing talent, with announcing what is tied with the event, right?
Well, maybe some of that stuff, but definitely not the prize pool. That's really weird.
So
unless I'm mistaken, and they mentioned it a long time ago, and we just don't remember. That is possible.
I mean, at the same time, the prize pool has been the same for how many years now? 10? 11? It's been the same since TI3, right?
Wait, has it?
It's always been 1.6 million since TI3. TI1 was 1 million. I think TI2 was also 1 million, and then it was 1.6. Unless I'm mistaken. Maybe it was even 1.6 at TI2.
What was last year?
1.6.
How did they make more than 1.6? What did they do?
They made the battle pass.
I'm trying to remember. It was
what's it called? The compendium.
It was so forgettable. I don't remember a single thing.
They did the compendium last year that did not really do cosmetics. That was where they stepped away from doing the full battle pass. So they just did a compendium, right? I think it's been 1.6 every year.
So technically we know the base prize pool. We don't know if there's something attached to it.
Exactly. We don't know if there's any incentive to drive the pool up. We don't know if they're putting anything in the game. We don't know if it's tied to Chapter 4. We don't know if there's some sort of other situation going on, other plans, whatever. If there is some sort of battle pass, or if this is... I'm assuming it's Act 4 that will be connected and be quote-unquote the battle pass this year. But considering how the other acts go, how does that contribute to the prize pool, right? Like, is it going to be in the other 3 acts where you can buy the side areas? Is that what it's going to be? Is it a percentage of the side areas that go to the prize pool? Is there going to be something extra? We'll see. I've genuinely have no idea what's going on with it. And yeah, it's a bit surprising that this stuff is not being announced at all. And at this point, it makes you wonder, when it's this close, like, are they going to announce anything?
Maybe there's an internal bet at Valve is how long can we wait?
Oh, it's a game of chicken.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
So I think that everything will be announced. I think Crownfall will be the new act will come out. I believe Ringmaster will be part of that in some capacity, and I believe that will be today. And you guys are welcome.
Damn.
You're welcome for the podcast. It's almost like taking that little laxative pill, and then finally, once it's over, which is the show in essence, everything comes just flooding out. The floodgates open wide for everyone to enjoy.
Yeah.
And that is our final Dota topic.
I mean, it's not unusual to not have that much Dota news leading into TI, right? Because there's very few tournaments. There is actually one going on right now, but there's been so few games played that I think we'll wait until next week with catching up with that. But the Fissure tournament, the one where we talked about, has started, the one that's close to TI. But let's hold our horses a little bit on recapping that. Yeah, it's close to TI season, man. What can you do? The full disclosure, by the way, guys, the reason there wasn't an episode last week was that we talked about it. We were like, there's almost no news of any kind, but let's wait until next week, and then
I was sure that something was gonna
likely have Crownfall Act 4 or something to talk about, and it's just been nothing. It's just silence.
I mean, we apologize, but a lot of people prefer this. I don't mind it at all if we just talk about random ass shit. So that's kind of our bread and butter.
Sure.
So would you?
Hey, welcome to episode 245. We have no topics today.
That's right.
What are
And
you
I'm
talking
sure
about?
this will still be over an hour somehow. That is how good we are.
We'll see about that.
We'll see. Okay,
You're
so
probably right.
the next thing that I want to talk about, which we talked about last week,
Mhm.
correct
2
me
weeks
if
ago.
I'm wrong. 2 weeks
Mhm.
ago, yes. Spectre Divide, that is, which is Shroud's game. I believe I did not talk about my impressions of it, correct?
As in you've played it?
Yes,
or-
I played it. Yes.
Oh, okay. No, I think you just talked about
I had played it by like 2 weeks ago as well, but I didn't want
Okay.
to talk about it because I wasn't sure if I could. But now people
Oh,
are
I see.
streaming it. It's fine then.
Got it. Okay.
So again, this is a first-person shooter. It's kind of like a mix between, I'm gonna say, Rainbow Six and Counter-Strike. It's more like Valorant and Rainbow Six. And this is the game that has Shroud behind it. I'm just gonna put the video on in the background here. It's a 3 versus 3 tactical shooter with bomb sites. You plant the bomb, one side defends, and you get like I'm forgetting the name that they use, but it's like a ghost type thing. You have like this little puck that you can throw, and you control a second character. So in a way, it's kind of 6 versus 6, but you're controlling 2 characters. So this allows you to do a bunch of interesting stuff like
So 10 versus 10?
What?
Wait, was it 3 on 3?
3 on 3, so you double
Sorry,
it, 6v6.
my bad. Yeah.
Good. Either way, that math didn't work out, so I'm...
Well, it was 5v5, and if you had a clone each, it would be 10v10.
Well, who's 5? It was never... I never said 5v5.
No, I just...
Okay, just
this
stop
is how we get over an hour.
Yes.
No, you definitely said that.
Whatever.
Right.
Let me... Oh, shit. That's loud. Sorry about that. Oh, my God. It's still loud. Oh, my God. It keeps unmuting. Steam. All right. Anywho, I played this and not personally a fan of it. I'm interested to see what kind of impact this will have. If this will actually be popular, and if it is, how much of that is Shroud's influence? Because I feel like it's in kind of a weird spot where it's trying to be like a Counter-Strike Valorant type. Like you have these abilities. Again, it's more like Valorant. You have abilities. You can purchase some of your abilities that are built into your hero. The economy is kind of weird. Feels like you rarely have to like fully save, which maybe is a good thing. And then the whole puck thing where you control 2 characters. You can do really cool stuff like flash for yourself or fake on one side of the map and go to the other. But for me, it just doesn't really hit any kind of an interesting spot that would make me... Again, I'm not saying I'm even the target audience here. But I found it kind of uninspiring. I absolutely hate the art style. So I think like the terrain and like the outside visuals outside of the characters is fine. It's kind of Valorant-esque, which I'm fine with, but the characters are cel shaded, and I think it's my least favorite art style in general. Like Borderlands was just, for me, I could never play it just because I think it looks like shit. Again, just personal preference. And it was really hard to tell the difference between characters. I'm not saying stuff like this is early access, so a lot of this stuff can be fixed, but I found that the characters, the whole idea of it being cel shading, you're like, oh, that means I can pick out the characters easier from the environment, which is true, but I can't tell the difference between my teammates and the enemies. So that's one issue. It was very smooth. It ran extremely smooth. I think it's using the Unreal Engine, if I'm not mistaken. It felt like Valorant in a lot of ways. But the whole playing a second character, I don't know if that's going to catch on. Because it feels like I feel like from like a esport perspective, it is interesting because there's only 3 people, right? Which that's kind of it's a good number because it's not 5 versus 5. It's not 6v6, which is the most common that we see. So that is one of the intriguing things for me, but just playing it, watching it, not too thrilled. I
mean, the thing that's a problem is if I think I asked you this last time as well. Like the selling point on this game over the other ones is the duality thing, where you have the clone that you place somewhere, right? So if that doesn't feel like it adds a lot to the game and is entertaining and sets it apart, then what does it like? What else have they really
Well, I'm not saying
done
that's the
with it.
case. I'm saying, again, I'm only giving my perspective. I think there are some people that will probably think that that does add something interesting for them. For me, and part of it is because I'm just so ingrained in Counter-Strike, I just can't get, I'm just not interested. This feels, I'm not saying Rainbow Six does that, but the game feels much slower paced because only 3 people can be moving at one time on each side. It just feels very slow paced and just generally uninteresting.
Are the maps smaller than
One of
the
them,
5v5 maps of CS,
no,
for example?
I want to say they're about the same size, probably.
Maybe
So it's
that's
pretty
part
big.
of the problem, right? It's like if you're reducing it to 3v3, you should probably downscale the map as well to keep the flow of the game feeling meaningful, right? Because if you think about it, if every game of CS was played 3v3, there would be so much dead time of just empty spaces, people moving, not finding anyone. Because usually what happens in CS in late game rounds is that there's been some sort of exchange of information, right? So if the round does come down to a 3v3, it's not a global 3v3. It's a 3v3 in some sort of area of the map, right? There's info, there are areas that have been scouted and are cleared so that you've naturally limited the space of the map in most rounds, right? But in this, every single round you start out is the whole map. So that does sound surprising, honestly, that if they kept the map size similar to CS. It sounds way too big for a 3-on-3.
So there's also a mechanic that was added that I feel is very, I mean, okay, let me just explain what the mechanic is and why I don't like it. So if it's a 3 versus 3 and there's 2 bomb sites and the maps are pretty big, what do you think would be the biggest issue? Well, this is probably too hard of a question. The biggest issue is probably flanking from so let's just call them terrorists and CTs. You're defending 2 sites, but you can only defend one of them with 1 theoretically, right? If you're not including these second bodies. So it might be better to just push and then flank the Ts as they try to do something. So they added a mechanic that basically, for certain parts of the map, which in this case is when you're leaving like the CT area to go into the T side, it's like a frame that if somebody passes through it in the first 45 seconds, it alerts the other team.
It seems like such a band-aid solution to a problem that they didn't need to create, right?
Exactly. I feel like it's very band-aidy, which does not bode well. But by doing so, even though I don't like the solution because it is band-aid, that was exactly what I was going to use. It does create interesting scenarios theoretically, like from a skill cap perspective, which is like faking that you're going to be flanking. So now they have to worry about that, right? And then that goes on top of having this second body and doing all the extra stuff that you can't technically do in other games without communicating with the teammate. Like you can just do these combos yourself. Like you can put your second body on a high ground perspective because you just throw the puck up there, right? Like there are a lot of like skill cap stuff, high ceiling skill that is involved with this game. But just from my personal play, I uninstalled it after like an hour and a half, 2 hours of playing. Just not my kind of game, even though it is kind of like Counter-Strike in a way. So just my 2 cents, but I am very interested to see if this game does well because of Shroud. That was one disappointment I had as well, is watching his stream. He had a dev on and people were asking questions and he knew like very few of the answers. So I get the impression that he was not heavily involved in the design of the game.
Mainly,
I'm sure he had
a face.
Well, he's
right?
a face, and I'm sure he had plenty of input, but not on like a day-to-day basis. It did not sound like that.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's my 2 cents. It is a free-to-play game. I'm not sure how people get access to it now.
What's their business model? Is it skins or?
I believe it's skins. Yeah. The build that I played did not have anything. So, and yeah, Shroud has been streaming it with a shit ton of viewers. So.
Do you actually think, I don't know, this just came to mind. Do you think there's diminishing returns on that business model at some point? Do you think people get full? It's like, okay, I've already played 2 or 3 games where I've bought skins. Or do you think it can just keep running? You know what I mean? Like, is it is the joy of that going to be infinite across mini games, or do you need to rethink that as a business model?
I think the whales make up for whatever.
Okay.
Because you can say the same thing about Valorant having skins with guns and all that.
Yeah.
Then they just make a crazier one. Like, oh, I need that one now to replace this. I think it's a fine model. Okay, next on the list is Relic Arena. So I haven't talked about this game in quite a while. This has been under development for, how long has it been? It's been almost a year at this point. We are in closed alpha. I can't remember the last time I actually talked about what was happening. So I figured I'd give...
Many weeks.
Many weeks. Okay, so I'll give a quick little TLDR of what we've come to the conclusion on in terms of design. Technically, anybody can go to this website. It's relicarena.com, and we have two sections, the relics and the leaders, so you can actually look at what's in the game right now. We basically keep this updated for the alpha testers. So I'm not really going to show much here. I'm just going to show this screenshot, which is kind of like a representation of what's been done. So if you don't remember, this is the auto battler that Jenkins and I are working on with the big team. And one thing that you might remember, we used to, if you can see my mouse, used to have only 3 spells per hero. And we thought that that would be fine because when you upgrade it to a super, you get 3 choices. So we're like, okay, we'll just try to cover all the bases here. If somebody wants a certain type of spell, they can technically get it, because this type of a game, we need to have less spells than we had in Ability Arena. We were playing a lot with it, and we just, for being honest, we're not having fun. So we added a 4th spell, as you can see here, and it has been way fucking better. People are much more excited to play, so that's been good. We also added a mechanic via shop upgrade. So before, in Ability Arena, you would have a certain... it was just ultimates and non-ultimates, right? And to get ultimates, you need to get the level 3 shop. And it's kind of like this give and take, where upgrading your shop sometimes is incentivized with your god, or just because you want to get a bigger shop. But by doing so, and you get ultimates, of course, which is great, but by doing so, you dilute your pool of spells because the ultimates are added onto it on top of everything else, right? And we didn't really have that feeling of what's the point of upgrading your shop in this game. And right now we have it at 3 levels of the shop, and we have 3 tiers of spells. So let's say we have roughly, I forget what the ratio is right now, but eventually it's going to be something like 30 spells in tier 1, 15 in tier 2, and then like 7 or 8 in tier 3. And the tier 3 spells are like these big ultimate type abilities. So this has made things a lot more interesting, whether you want to upgrade early or just get like really high level spells at like shop level 1, because yeah, you can get them, but they're not as powerful technically as some of the other tiers. So that's something that we've added that has worked out pretty well.
Is the logic with the spell pools the same as in Ability Arena, where there's like finite amounts of each, and then you're fighting over them in the same way?
Yeah.
Okay, so having 7 ults for how many players? For 8 players in a full game?
Yep.
So it has to be 8 ults, right? Or are you actually going to be fighting over them? You could.
Well, I don't know what the number is going to be. It doesn't really matter technically. I think it might be like 10 overall. But we haven't figured out the numbers. And then there's going to be like banning and all that later on.
I was going to argue it should be over 8, was what I was saying. I think that's...
Well, it's not just like, it's not like you have 8 copies of these spells, though. There's like 15 or something like that.
I think you made it sound like there were only 7 unique spells being unlocked by reaching level 3.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
That's where I meant I think the number of unique spells should be higher than the number of max players. It's just my intuition is saying that. I mean, you're the one designing and playing the game a lot.
Yeah, you could play this at any point and see if you feel like it feels good, Synderen. You do have access.
It's just, what was I going to say? It feels like if you have fewer than the number of players, then it's somebody is going to feel shafted because the spell they chose was the one that one other guy is also choosing. And I'm not going to say it's random how that ends up happening, but you know where I'm getting at, right? Like that.
Kind of, but I actually disagree with that. I think that's part of the design. Like the tier 3s are not something people will always want to go for anyway. Sometimes it won't fit your lineup. Sometimes you just don't need them. and you'd rather not dilute your pool. I mean, the idea is that you create this decision that you have to make. Do I want to upgrade? Like before, there was just nothing. So far, it's felt really good, and we'll keep iterating. And then, as you can see, we added a bunch of leaders into the game. I don't really need to talk about them too much. Leonardo da Vinci is amazing. So when you get a super, you get 3 choices, right? And you can only choose one. And then Leonardo da Vinci, he can choose more than one super with like a 3-round cooldown to be able to continue to do that. So he is currently kind of busted, but very fun. So I think the overall idea is we're trying to make things as fun as possible. And if it's broken, it's kind of like the Dota approach. Everything's broken in its own way, right? It's all about figuring out like the counters.
Yeah.
And then you can see the bottom of the screen and the right side. It's kind of clipped. Maybe I can make this smaller. The UI, there we go. This is our first iteration, I guess you can call it, which is somewhat polished. There's going to be another pass. There's going to be a lot of changes, but everything else is very temporary. Like left side, all the leaders, very temporary. Obviously, anything with a white thing on it is very temporary. So the UI has been like the biggest. What's the right word? It's used the most resources. Basically, we have 2 people working full time on getting that in because it's really annoying to do. So yeah, we've been playtesting every week now, and I think the game is definitely in a pretty good spot. We're not really that close to closed beta. There's still a shit ton to do on like the back end for like doing monetization, skins, progression. We want to do like a crown fall system. There's so much overwhelmingly.
I was just going to say, from this screenshot, if you take away the white boxes, it looks more like a beta than an alpha. So I think in that regard, it looks, just design-wise, it looks like you're ahead of the curve on that for an alpha, I would say. I'm just referencing what Dota's alpha looked like, right? If you remember.
Yeah.
This looks more like a beta for that, but obviously that's also just what the screenshots will show, right?
Yeah, and there's some things that in addition to like the changing it to be 4 spells instead of 3 and all that stuff, we have decided that certain things about the game that we actually were not liking. So going forward, like the arena is kind of basic. You can't really see the Maui heads, but these come with like when you click on them, there's like a bubble gum coming out. And we want to make them a little bit more interesting. So this is just like a sketch over the current arena. So this is not actually, that's blown up very big. But we want to give it like some layers. So like some elevation to make things just pop a little more. I think this is probably more what a basic arena will look like in our game. I think the contrast of colors is important. Like not everything is green. Like the current version is just very basic in nature. So that's something we're going to change. Also, we really don't like the way that our characters look, the heroes. They look very, I keep using the word basic, but that is very true. I think it's in part because we were trying to like fit this timeline of Kickstarter. Just get this shit out, doesn't matter. It doesn't look that good. It's, we'll polish it later. Well, this is kind of our way of polishing it now. So this is just sorry for the bright white screen there. This is kind of just a concept of what the characters could look like. We haven't fully decided on everything yet, but I think like our sumo that you keep seeing is going to look more like this guy. It's still going to be a sumo, but a little bit more muscular. He's probably going to be fatter than this though. So a more muscular version, like a cross between the 2 that we have now, and he's tatted up. It's going to be like a Yakuza sumo.
Okay.
And then the assassin, which I don't even know if you saw in this screenshot, you can barely see. She's so tiny in the bottom right here, just like this very tiny character. Yeah. It's going to be more French revolutionary. Just ignore like the hat, any accessories like that can ignore, which we think this character looks really cool and it kind of pops. Basically, just want to make things more interesting because it was very bland. And then the assassin, we've already modeled it's not fully done yet, but I'm going to show you a skin. This is a character that Jenkins thought of called Mantis. I'm trying to remember the lore, but this is everything is like zoomed and unzoomed. It's kind of like a posh, it's also French character that is
Of
scantily
course,
dressed.
Jenkins thought about this.
Yeah,
Yes.
she's actually. Why don't you describe her, Synderen, since there's a lot of audio listeners here?
All right, so she has 4 different springs as hair, and she has a fat rack. There you go.
Yeah, the rack's really important. So it's kind of like this character that I forgot to actually show. She's going to be carrying like this really black and bloody scythe, which is a huge contrast to how she actually looks, which is very pink and bright. And she's gonna, just have this personality that does not fit having this fucking scythe. And that's because she's I forget the actual lore behind it because that's a Jenkins thing, but. Yeah, we're trying to make things more interesting. We're not at like a finished, polished stage at any stretch of the imagination, but man, this thing keeps unzooming. But we're getting there. It's coming along slowly. I think the closed beta, I don't know the dates. I think we originally anticipated October. I'm pretty sure I can say that is definitely not happening. I'm not sure at what point we're okay starting the beta. I think once we're fine with the main gameplay loops, which we're not that far from, and then in addition, we want just at least basic tutorial / progression of some kind, and then we can start bringing in people that kickstarted for the beta. That will make the pool even bigger, and then we'll probably do an open beta, maybe even like early access type thing, because that's what literally everybody's doing now. So haven't looked into it yet, but that'll be next year at some point.
Do you know? Okay, which Dota hero do you think the character on the bottom right on your screenshot reminds me of?
PA?
Very much. No.
Juggernaut?
No, it's not what it looks like. It's the way its posture.
Oh, the posture.
It immediately reminded me of a hero. I just thought it was kind of funny because I'm sure it's completely unintentional.
Bounty?
Or you didn't even think about it. No, isn't this exactly how Marcy stands?
Marcy? She's crouched?
Yeah, doesn't she have like this when she's standing still?
I guess that's...
She have this?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
When I saw it just reminded me of Marcy. That's just completely irrelevant, but that's what I do. So
yep, you do a good job.
I wasn't sure if you saw it too. She has that weird posture with her legs in her idle animation.
That is Relic Arena for now. Stay
cool.
tuned, everybody. Stay tuned. Thank you.
It's always cool to get your updates and hear like challenges and decisions that you're making. I've said that before when you've talked about your game that this is information that when it comes to other games you can see some behind the scenes or whatever with games that have been developed, or they do like press conferences or whatnot, but like having this is very interesting because it's the closest you're going to get without being in the room, right? So
yeah, I guess I can kind of sum it up with things have been going in some ways faster than anticipated. That's like the gameplay stuff, because our main coder is a fucking god, as I've said many a time. The thing that's maybe lagging behind is partially my fault, and that's because I feel a bit overwhelmed, is progression and monetization, that kind of stuff. I cannot begin to tell you how much work it is, especially considering how much we want to do. At some point, maybe we have to cut something, but like I said, we want to do a Crownfall type thing. And just doing that from the ground up,
that's a lot of work.
Yeah, it's a lot. And
it also maybe being in that maybe gives you more appreciation, because that's what the community probably doesn't get when they're complaining about Valve for CS or for Dota or for any game for that matter. They're like, they're not doing enough. I think people underestimate how much work certain things are. I think now that you're, trying it yourself, you can maybe, give some perspective.
Well, I can say just from a planning standpoint, forget about the coding and the UI and all that and the art, whatever. Just planning it is so much work. Holy shit. So yeah, that for me, that's the thing I'm overwhelmed with. Hopefully, once we get like little segments put in slowly, it'll start, brick by brick, we'll get there. Yep, that's it for now.
Cool.
And we can move on to the final topic, Synderen. And I was trying to understand. First of all, you can explain it, and you can, if you're looking at the stream, I had AI make this for me. This is the thing that we will be seeing. It's the first thing that they came up with.
All right. Damn. I mean, that's kind of nice, I guess. Yeah, I didn't make a definitive name for it. The first thing that came to mind for me somehow was real life roguelike. So this is something that we'll be doing for some episodes, and we'll see whether it catches on or not, and whether people think it's fun. But the idea that I had was we each give each other a choice. So effectively, this is meant to be about real life you, and you get offered a blessing, and with it comes a curse, and then it's about deciding whether you take the deal or not. It's like you strike a deal with the devil, right? Kind of thing. And then I'll keep track of the answers that we give, all the prompts and all the answers, and then at some point we can recap what new person we've become, like what choices we made and what that means for stuff. And the prompts we can give each other can be about anything. So it can be Dota, it can be real life, something about food, lifestyle, whatever. And it's just meant to ideally either be like funny prompts or prompts where it's like challenging, where you actually really need to think whether you would take the deal or not. So that's the idea. And then what we hope is that you guys wanna give us suggestions in the comments, where you're like, you just post a comment with your own suggestion. We'll give our examples now so you get the idea. Should I just start with one for you then?
Sure.
All right. So here's your first blessing or curse choice.
Are you going to keep track of this, by the way?
Yeah, but it's easiest if you send me the text after with which ones you wrote, right? So I don't need to write them all.
Okay.
So you just write me. Okay. All right. So my first one for you is, the blessing is whenever you travel, the weather is always exactly how you want it during your entire stay. So you basically like to pick the weather any day while you're abroad. But the downside is that all your travel time outside Arizona is increased by 50%.
Come on, Synderen. Do you have a guess what I would choose? This is like the easiest thing ever.
I don't think it's the easiest ever for everyone.
Okay, well, for me, it's easy.
I think you do not take this deal.
That is correct. I could fucking care less about the weather. That's not true. It's usually too cold for me in a lot of these places, but the travel is the worst part, and you're adding 50%? No fucking way. You should have done a reverse. Like, you get half the travel, and then the curse is something else.
Okay, how about... Let's... okay, we're not going to do this for all of them. It's fine if you don't pick it, of course. What if it was 20%?
20% extra travel? No, if it's... Even if it's 1%, I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yes.
You're fucking kidding.
I'm not kidding.
Oh my god.
My travel is insane. It's a full day. 20% off that makes no difference.
1%.
Still shit.
Perfect weather for 2 weeks.
I don't care about the weather that much. I complain about anything,
I get that. All right. Fair enough. I had a feeling when I wrote this that the number was too high, but I did it anyway. But if you wouldn't even have taken it with one, like, it's just not even a problem.
That is correct.
Okay. All right. You do me now. Give me one.
All right. So, your blessing is you're a multi-millionaire.
Okay. Sounds good. I take it.
You shit yourself twice a day, randomly. At random times. It could be any time, you don't know, but it happens twice a day. So basically, you become Donald Trump.
Of course, this would be your first thought.
Basically, you're Trump, except you're not a heaping pile of garbage, right? You're forced to wear adult diapers. It could be like you're having sex and you shit yourself. Like, it could be any time. You could be on the toilet and it just happens to be like
so
it's completely
uncontrollable.
Yes,
it's just at totally random, including when you sleep.
Correct.
I mean, I don't take the deal. That sounds miserable.
Okay, is there a point? Miserable. A number that would make it worth it for you.
The thing is, you said multi, right? So it could be be anything.
When I say multi, I can put a number on it because I had a number in mind. Let's $10 million. $10 million.
I know this sounds maybe this sounds ridiculous, but I don't know how much it would improve my quality of life to have that much money. but I do know how much it would ruin my life to shit myself twice randomly every day. So it's like, and don't misinterpret this as me being like, oh man, I'm already super rich, I don't need that money or whatever. I mean, of course, it's gonna make a really big difference, but I don't think that's worth it for my quality of life, dude.
I think I do it for 10, probably. Yeah. Now, is there a number? Is there a threshold where that would make sense for you? Like, because originally, like the first thought, I didn't even think about it. Like $1 billion. Surely you're taking the billion. Surely, right? Come on.
I mean, this is becoming a philosophical question. How big is the difference between having $10 million and $1 billion for our lifestyle?
It's a bit. I mean, but you could donate it. I don't care what you do with it.
True. Yeah, you could be philanthropic with it, but I don't know. That's a really hard question to answer. But a great prompt, and unsurprisingly, it's about shit. So I'll give you one right back.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Your blessing is all your bowel issues go away, but your curse is all sauces now have no flavor.
No, what the fuck? I barely even have bowel issues, Cinderin. Right,
that's untrue.
All right, it's not entirely true. It's basically just lactose intolerance, which would be nice to get rid of, if I'm being honest. But sauce? Oh, man. Sauce.
Everything else is the same.
What do you consider sauce, exactly? Is there...
I mean, you could say you can still have condiments. That's fine.
Let's say they... I can have condiments now. So, what do you consider a sauce?
Okay, when I say condiments, I mean like ketchup, mustard, mayo, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Those are not a sauce.
I consider them a sauce.
You consider ketchup a sauce?
In a way.
Maybe our starting point for this should be something else.
All right, what's a sauce? Like hot sauce? What else? What else is...
hot sauce, barbecue sauce, any sort of sauce you would get with like a piece of meat in a restaurant or with any sort of dish. You know, why do I need to explain to you what a sauce is? That's a kind of a hard question to answer.
No, because
if it says it comes with a sauce, then that's a sauce.
It's just I don't see a difference with barbecue sauce and ketchup. Like it's the same thing. It's honestly the same thing. Okay. Like you can say one's fancier or more appropriate in certain settings, but it's a sauce.
I mean,
so if you're not including
anyone refer to ketchup as a sauce.
Well, I am American, so ketchup, mustard, and mayo are allowed.
Sure, let's say that.
Okay, now this becomes more difficult. Oh, that means like garlic sauce in like a shawarma.
Yeah, that doesn't taste like anything. I mean, the rest still tastes normal, but the sauce flavor is gone.
I would not take the deal still.
Okay.
Because I feel like, my issues are annoying, but they're not crippling. I don't have Crohn's disease. It's not, and I'm sure there's varying levels of Crohn's disease, but I don't have that as far as I'm aware. Like mine is quite manageable. I just stay away from a couple of things, which, if I could have those like oh my God, cream cheese with a bagel. Holy shit. Been craving that for years. I just need to like get it and just sit by the toilet and just enjoy that day. I would not take the deal, Cinder. I'm sorry.
At least this one made you think and give more of a rationale.
If you had just banned ketchup right away, it would have been easy.
Okay.
And mayo and mustard. Okay. My second one for you. I'm trying to think if this is good or not.
It's okay if it isn't, it's just...
Okay.
It's just in good fun.
So your blessing is you win TI.
Okay.
Your curse is you shit yourself. I'm just kidding.
You shit yourself when you lift the trophy and everyone remembers you for it.
Okay, you win you win a TI, and let's say it's a good one, a good TI, not like some other one. Yeah. But you can never make any money in Dota, like in any capacity. So no salary from a team, nothing from sponsorships, nothing from stream, etc., etc. Events won't get paid. But you won a TI. Is that worth it?
Do I get to pick what TI it was?
Yes, you can pick what TI.
Yeah, then I think I take it and take TI 10, right?
TI 10, why?
Wasn't that the biggest prize pool?
You get no money, Cinderin. That's the whole curse.
Oh, I thought you said I get no money aside from that TI.
No, you get
Okay,
nothing.
you get no money at all.
I said the good one because it's just more prestigious for certain ones.
Okay, so you win TI, but you make no money with Dota from anything ever.
Yes, correct.
I do not take that deal.
Oh, that was fast. I thought you might think about this one.
No. I mean, obviously it's amazingly prestigious, but it means my entire lifestyle and everything I do for work, I would have to rethink it, right?
Right.
Because, I mean, I can't live off the prestige of winning TI. It's not really...
Yeah, you need to pick up some actual skills in life. That's true.
It's like you get the glory of winning TI, but then you can't use it in Dota. So that's kind of... Yeah, that would be a no. I mean, it would obviously be fucking amazing. I think everybody who wins something like that will be proud and carry that forever.
But you would have taken...
I would not take that deal.
You would have taken TI 10.
If I could have taken the prize pool of winning one TI and then say I never make money with Dota again, I think I could live my life off winning TI 10.
How much money did they make each player at that TI?
Let me see. I'm gonna look that up.
Because remember, what would you do? Like, you wouldn't be going to events unless you want to do it for free, right? So you wouldn't be doing anything in Dota, maybe streaming for fun.
Yeah, that's a good question. But okay, so just to give you... So first place, Spirit won 18.2 million. So divide that... Let's say we divide it by 5 for simplicity, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It means every player made $3.5 million.
Okay.
Yeah, I would take that deal. $3.5 million right now, and I could not make money with Dota again. 100%. No question.
What would you do every day?
That's a different question. I don't know.
I'm just interested. This is part of the segment.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, it's like, okay, so if you won that TI, you're probably still really into Dota, and you would probably still, just do Dota stuff for fun to an extent. And if you win that much money and you don't throw it away, you're set, right? So it becomes almost more of a philosophical question. What do you do if you don't need any drive to make money? And it's hard to answer, because if you suddenly come from, let's say you have an okay amount of money and suddenly you get that huge injection, what do people do who suddenly win the lottery, right? How does their life change? Do they stop working? Do they still go to work because they, find fulfillment in doing what they've done?
Well, there's a difference though, because most people in that scenario are working to make money, whereas opposed to you. Yeah, but
they don't need to, because they just won the lottery.
Right, exactly. But you're asking a question that is not the same for you, because you're doing this as a passion and happen to be making money at it as well, right? They're not, most people just have a shit job that they hate. I used to have one as well. They win the lottery. Yeah, they're quitting immediately.
They're out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no question.
But there's quite a few people that
there's some exceptions,
choose not to retire despite being set, because they like making a difference in their job setting, or feel like it's meaningful what they do. I feel like that's a pretty good comparison though, because that's kind of what this is, what Dota is like in a way for us, right? Like we're entertainers. There's a lot of really positive feedback. You feel like you make a difference for people. You go out to events, you meet people, you hang out with your colleagues. That's a good time. So sacrificing all of that would suck. So I think, if I was set and I had enough money, I would definitely still want to go to Dota events for the social aspect and, to be a part of it.
To buy me my $100 dinner that you still owe me.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so are we counting this as you choosing the blessing? Even though we changed it a bit?
No, because you said I won TI, but there was absolutely no money.
Yeah, but we can adapt it. Like what are the rules to this segment? Because I'm gonna change. Okay, for now, until we get better suggestions, we can adapt it. So I'm changing this to officially be, and tell me if you've changed your mind. I don't think you will. You get any TI prize pool when it's divided or whatever. You can't make money in video games. So it's not just Dota. There's no video game can ever make money in ever again. You would take that?
I'd take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I don't think I would.
$3.5 million.
Yeah, but I love video games. I love doing stuff.
You could still do that.
I
don't know what your outlook is for Relic Arena. If it's making you $3.5 million, I understand you say no.
That's the thing though. For me, it was never. I mean, I'm not saying this is different for you, but for me,
So
it
if
was never about the money.
then it doesn't matter that it doesn't make money when you have 3.5 million, right?
Well, it does
do it
because
anyway.
you have to make money to live at a certain point. Like if you're a teenager, I was in my mid 20s living with my parents.
If I
And
got
I was
$3.5
doing
million
this.
right now, I would know.
So
Yeah.
you lagged
That's the
out.
point.
Say it again.
You invest it, and you can live off of
Yeah,
that
but
money.
I feel like you and I are very different in one way. I'm very entrepreneurial, and if I want to do a new project, it's going to be in video games.
Right.
And it would have to
But I
make
mean,
money for
you
the
could
business to make sense, right?
Yeah, but it could make money for other people, just not you.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
So
like fun.
you could still make the game. You could still be a part of the development. You just can't reap the rewards. So if you find it fun and
So
fulfilling,
I'm
and entertaining
funding
to
this
make a
game. Like,
you
what
can
is
still do
my
it.
my
You just
job
can't profit.
exact? What is my job though? Like, I'm funding the game. First of all, $3 million. That's only in America, at least. That's only going to get you so far if you're doing multiple businesses.
Yeah.
Like if you're like $3 million, I believe. I'd have to look this up, but in the mid 90s, I remember somebody saying, if you're relatively young and you make $3 million, you can retire and you can conservatively live the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
That is way different 25 years later. I don't think you can live like just on retirement alone for your entire life with $3 million. I actually don't think you can. So I'd have to make money in other ways. Like you could probably last a while, don't get me wrong. But
You could what? Sorry, you were lagging for me.
am I actually lagging?
No, not anymore. It was just one.
Oh, I may
hiccup.
have dropped some frames, maybe. I don't know. I don't think I'd take it. It would have to be more.
Oh, that's interesting.
It would have to be more.
Okay.
But I don't even know if it's the money though. Like I want to work in Dota.
Yeah, it's the feeling of
video games.
losing. That's the thing I can relate to, is that if you imagine this, the $3.5 million is more money than we would make in video games anyway. Like let's say it was like that. Let's say we never were going to amount to that total with working talent stuff and making games or whatever we want. It's the fact that you aren't working toward that as part of your day to day, right? Like that, the reward of that goes away. It's kind of like in a video game, and you're playing this video game for tens or hundreds of hours working toward a goal, and then there's a button in front of you that says get all the cool shit for free. Do you press that button or not? I don't, because I'm like, okay, then I'm done with the game, right? Like what's the point then? Why am I playing? So I get that side of it. I think there's enough other stuff that I could do that would be fulfilling aside from just doing video games. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's really interesting as well that your threshold is different. Because I think for me, if I don't know how low I would go. For you, it's like I don't know. You don't know how high it needs to be before it counts. That's interesting. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
No, that's cool. I enjoyed this.
That was fun. All right. So if you guys like this idea, we would love to have you guys a suggestion in the comments. So you just drop on this episode in comments. You just drop us the name that it's for. So ask one of us specifically, and give us one blessing and one curse, and then ask us if we take the deal. And then if you guys' suggestions are good, we're gonna only do you guys' suggestions instead of our own. That's the idea. That it's audio listener or video viewer suggestions every time that we take instead of ours. So cool. All right. And like I said, I'll keep track of it, and then we'll see when we've done like 10 of these.
Our character will be very fucked up, probably. True.
You shit yourself and can't sleep, but you're rich.
Yeah, I could have made a big list if it was all shitting related, but I would do it for 10 million.
Okay. The
just for future reference.
The TI one or the shitting?
No, the shitting for 10 million. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's good to know if we ever get in a situation where we can take that deal.
10 million is quite a bit, yeah. Anywho, hey, we made it to 59 minutes, Cinderin. Wow.
Oh, we have to talk for one more minute then.
Okay.
We can't.
So how's your face doing these days?
It's okay. That's good.
All right.
We're crossing an hour now, right? Yeah, we're good.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, Suns fan Cinderin signing out. Peace. We say things that don't mean anything.
Subscribe.